Technology is used in almost all the fields. Healthcare is a prominent sector that makes extensive use of technology. Health tech is a fast growing industry that comes under the healthcare sector. It aims to use technology for providing quicker, inexpensive, reliable, and more accessible care to the patients beyond the clinical settings. There are ample research opportunities in this field. Realizing the importance of the same, the IEEE Srinivas University student branch has organized this webinar to shed light on the issues and challenges that are associated with health tech. We found that Mr. Shivakumar Hosangadi, who has more than 2 decades of experience in this field, is the right person to enlighten us on the topic. When we contacted Mr. Shivakumar to orient the research community, he happily obliged and is present here to share his insights on the topic. I take this opportunity to welcome and introduce the resource person. He has more than 20 years of experience in the healthcare industry. He has built a data science team from the scratch for several healthcare projects. He is engaged in customer centric business development and digital transformation. His customer focused and result driven nature made him take up several healthcare projects in prominent companies such as GE, Philips, and Siemens. He has taken a leading role in managing several data science projects and artificial intelligence projects involving machine learning and deep learning. Currently, he is working as Director Software Engineering, GE Healthcare Bengaluru. Sir, we are happy that you are with us today to share your experience. On behalf of all of us, I extend you a cordial welcome. Hearty welcome to you, sir. Dr. Krishna Prasad K, Associate Professor and Director, College Research Council, CCIS, Srinivas University, Mangaluru, and Branch Counselor, IEEE Srinivas University Student Branch, guides us in all the activities that we organize to increase our knowledge. A hearty welcome to you, sir. I extend a pleasant welcome to all the participants. Welcome you, friends. I would like to make a few announcements. Participants, please note during the progress of the session, if any questions ticked in your mind, kindly post them in the chat box. These questions will be taken up by the resource person for discussion upon the completion of the session. Also note, the feedback link will be shared in the chat box after the question answer session. Only those who submitted the feedback form will receive the participation e-certificate of the webinar. Now I request Mr. Shivakumar Hosangadi to take over. Sir, please.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me for this webinar. Thank you, Dr. Krishna Prasad. Thank you, team. Thank you for all the participants for joining, taking time in hearing out my session today. Thank you all. Good evening. Yeah, so let me start sharing my video. Let me see that whether you are able to see me. You're able to see me? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Thank you all. Yeah, of course, I think there was a good introduction. Thank you, madam. Let me start sharing my content. Basically, I have few videos which I wanted to share from YouTube. Let me also try that whether I can share that. But before that, I have a slide which I have prepared. Let me know once you are able to see my slide. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. I may have to switch in between a little bit, and it may be disturbing for you guys, you know, when I shift from a slide to a video, because it makes more impact when we really show some of the work which is happening in the latest trends and technologies. Okay, thank you. So let me start with the topic: health tech current trends and challenges. this may not be the comprehensive list. Whatever we can cover in 1 hour, let me try to cover. I have listed few things for trends. Let's start from trends, current trends. Let's see. Yeah. If I'm going fast, someone can indicate me. I may go slow. The current trends in health tech are basically artificial intelligence, edge cloud computing, virtual reality, Internet of Medical Things, wearables, telehealth, and additive manufacturing. Again, as I mentioned, it may not be a comprehensive list. I might have missed something like robotic surgery, precision health, interventional guided therapies. So those are a little bit advanced topics. I thought for today, it may be it may need maybe about 3-4 hour session to discuss those topics in healthcare. And as Madam mentioned, healthcare is always the fast changing and is a sector which is adopting the technology very fast, and also moving in the direction in a much faster pace. So when it comes to artificial intelligence, I'm not sure how many of you are studying artificial intelligence as a subject, but for healthcare, it is little different. Of course, recent development in artificial intelligence is driving healthcare to next level of patient care. That is a given, because you would have seen a lot of articles which are published are accepted by FDA and CE in Europe, which was not the case few years back. AI is used both in diagnosis and prognosis space in the healthcare, and it is helping radiologists to take decisions in a much faster way and helping patients with the right treatment. Deep learning models are helping doctors to have a deeper insights into the images, which eventually will help doctors to predict the expected development of a disease. If you see a disease in the initial stage, for example, it could be a tumor, it could be liver related things. When we do the segmentation of those organs, or for example, when we take a MRI scanning of brain, initially if the tumor is in some shape, deep learning will actually help to predict that what could be the potential stage of this tumor in coming months or maybe in a year or two. And is it going to be going to be more harmful, or is it going to be more deadly, or is it going to be like a kind of a dead cell? So these are the kind of predicts actually. It predicts those kind of scenarios in the deep learning space models. Especially these models will help to predict those things. And in healthcare, a lot of investment is going on image analytics and text analytics. Why it is image analytics? Because if you see healthcare medical devices, mostly it is image-based acquisitions. You take MRI, you take CT, you take ultrasound or X-ray. All of them are image-based, the scanners. When we acquire image, image will be in a raw state. Radiologist has to read that, and they'll curate that and say that there is a particular abnormality in this particular organ or in this particular anomaly. They will detect that. But the same thing, if you do it on an image over and again and again over an image using a deep learning neural networks, that system itself will learn that, and it can predict fairly okay in the initial stage. If you have wide range of data and if you have huge data, if you provide that for a training, then it starts predicting more accurately. It doesn't mean that it will replace radiologists. No, it can replace doctors and radiologists, but it will give it will give a lot of empowerment to the doctors and radiologists to take a decision faster. It helps in that, especially when there are complex surgeries. We need this type of prediction because we'll have to take decision very fast. So GE has recently received 510K for one of the model what we have developed, which is on MR image quality. This is basically MR actually acquires the raw image, and then this raw image actually fed into the deep learning machine, and then it actually improves the quality of image. And when it enhances the resolution, or when it enhances the image quality, what will happen is that it will actually make radiologists, very convenient to decide that, okay, this is the portion which we need to focus on, or this is the area which we need to focus on, and it saves a lot of time for radiologists. That is the one of the example what we have. I will try to show that video. Before that, let me also cover a few other topics like textual analytics, where text analytics are coming into a picture. You would have seen there are a lot of reports are generated by doctors, which are, in some cases it is the handwritten, and in some cases it is the soft copies. In advanced countries, most of them are available in the healthcare information systems. So those reports, if a patient is going to an hospital and if he says that I have a kind of a kidney problem, and then doctor diagnoses in the case, for example, he says that it is a kidney cancer, and he writes it as a kidney cancer. But another doctor in another hospital, he might treat it as, say, calling it as a renal carcinoma. When you have these type of terminologies in healthcare, it is hard to research these reports from the database. When I write kidney, it is not that I need to retrieve only kidney related the information. It also should search for a synonyms like renal carcinoma, those things. To do that, you can use machine learning, and semantic search is a very, in the space where this research is going on, and there is a lot of good improvements made now in searching these type of results, where semantic search will help to shortlist these reports and populate immediately when we search for renal carcinoma or kidney cancer. Any words you use, it actually takes all these related images and picks up and shows in the system, so that radiologists can take a quicker decision, or doctors can identify what is the what is the problem. This guy went in other hospital and this clinic. This is still possible in the networked hospital today. May not be one hospital. When I mean network hospital, Apollo of Bangalore and Apollo of Chennai, these are the networked hospitals. So the doctors can collaborate and take decisions by searching these reports. That's about the textual analytics. And NLP is also used, natural language processing, for many things, like even in the curation of the images, when you write something on the images to get that ideas. So there are many areas where analytics are used, and an Indian company to watch for. Of course, big players are like Philips, Siemens, GE. All of them are doing a good investment, and they are also getting FDA approval for these models. Whereas an Indian company also has got recently FDA approval for one of their image analytics software, which is Cure.ai. You can search in your web. Cure.ai actually made a lot of good progress in this area, and they got FDA approval for one of the X-ray abnormality detection. So basically, if there is a person is having tuberculosis, TB, if immediately after the X-ray scanning, if the system has to decide whether he has a TB or not, no TB, with some abnormalities in the X-ray, you can decide that whether he is having a TB or not. So that kind of binary classifications can also be done using this artificial intelligence. So that's all about the artificial intelligence. I'm spending a little bit more time on this because this is something more interesting. Let me now try to share some small video. Let me know if you are not able to see it, but yeah, I think it's worth spending some time there. Yeah, sorry. I might struggle because we don't use WebEx a lot. We mostly use share. Where is it?
So you just open the video and down you can share.
Yeah, I have this video.
Yeah, it is viewable.
It's viewable, right? I'm not sure whether you are able to hear it, but I will just try to share it. You are able to see?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure how many of you are able to hear and see that. But yeah, basically what it is showing is how the traditional way of image I used to look at, and now with the image, with the better clarity, with the deep learning, how it was viewable, and how it was, it was seen. You would have seen some text there. It was, very bright and very clear in marking the, if someone want to mark the areas or find out the anomalies. So that's how about the deep learning. Okay, so let me now get on to the next trend, which is basically we are talking about edge and cloud computing. Many of you would have really heard about this terminologies in day-to-day life. Nowadays, every area you go, people talk about edge and cloud computing. Every industry is adopting this. It is not something which is new to healthcare also. But what is important for healthcare is not really moved much faster on cloud, whereas it is moving much faster on edge computing compared to cloud computing. I will also clarify why it is the way. All of you may be very clear and aware of that. It is nothing but dealing with volume, variety, and velocity of data, whether it is structured or unstructured data. That's all about the handling the data in a much high computing systems. And this is also really helping in continuing in our research on AI. Especially, it is helping a lot for the AI research in recent days. With the CUDA GPU boards, it is really making the data scientist life much easier. Because handling the image of healthcare is not an easy thing. It is of high volume. Ultrasound images are sometime in it may be in MBs, and you have to have multiple images for research. So it is always difficult to handle. But also it also brings complexity in transferring over network. That is why cloud computing is not much popular, but it is picking up. It is not that the cloud computing is not picking up. And also edge is on premise, right? So the security and cyber security threats all are very easily can be managed within edge, because it will be always within the networked hospitals or within the intranet premises. So that is how this is really helping. Edge is helping. But cloud computing also is also picking up. If you see, many people are giving now cloud solutions where you can actually even download some models and try out. That is the kind of offerings are given by some companies. And the infrastructure is helping with the vast number of systems when it is linked together, and it actually helps to reduce the operational costs, and it also increase the efficiency of the overall operational efficiency of the hospital. And this means there is a real-time availability of patient information. Why it is very, very important? If you have an edge device in your hospital premise, and you can quickly access the post-processing application, because post-processing applications are usually very slow in nature. You need a high computing system to run these post-processing applications. So I have given an example here. The time is very critical when treating strokes. Around 2 million brain cells die every minute until blood flow is restored, which will increase the risk of permanent damage of the cells. It will actually, you would have seen when a person gets a stroke, you need to treat him within minutes. Running advanced post-processing software at the edge to evaluate brain scans allows clinicians to analyze and act upon critical data and enables rapid decision making. So he can actually quickly work on the post-processing, see, he can open his pad and see, he can connect to the edge device and see what is the treatment it should be given, which nerve is getting blocked and what has to be taken. So he can take those decisions quickly. That is where edge computing is making a lot of difference in patient's life. And GE is not far behind in this. We have recently introduced a nice solution called Edison Healthlink. It is a new edge computing technology. I want to show that also. I'm not sure how many of you are able to hear the voice, but of the video. But otherwise, still, you can see that video. It will give you some insight that how it is making a difference in patient's life and in the hospital infrastructure point of view. Yeah. So you have seen that, it gives a lot of ready-made infrastructure to run the post-processing applications, and we give also some inbuilt post-processing applications in the platform, so that it becomes very easy for clinicians to take work on that. Okay. Let me continue. I think I will go a little faster after the trends. Challenges are we can cover up fast. We have a few more minutes. So virtual reality is another thing. Here, virtual reality is actually picking up recently in healthcare. It is not that something which is very popular even in healthcare today, but it is especially used for training and education purposes today. It became very prevalent in recent case because of COVID. A service engineer is not able to enter into a hospital premise, and if he has to install a new device, and if he has to give a training to the device users, this type of devices, virtual reality devices, helped a lot in giving a nice training about a non-complex systems, whereas MRI and CT needs really hands-on training because it cannot be trained via the remote connectivity. Whereas also some updates in MR and CT can still be given, the trainings can be given using the virtual reality environment. But in recent days, if you see, there are also few use cases which are coming up that we can even educate a patient, on a potential implications of a disease and treatments. If you see here a picture, what is happening is it is from the University of California and San Francisco example, where a kid is given a training on that how the brain surgery is going to happen, and how we are actually clearing up the clot in the nerve of the brain, and how are we going to do that. And when he sees that in a virtual environment, and if he completely sees that how that is going to happen, and if it gives a more confidence to a kid, he may as well agree for a surgery and thinks that it is like not a big deal, and it is really something, everything is taken care. So that is the kind of training is given by the doctor to the patient, and it is not very commonly used, the scenarios, but it is used today, and it is running, and those kind of things. And another example I also want to quote is, for example, Alzheimer is a different kind of disease, right? It actually progresses in a different stages of a person's life, and when it progress, it is in progressive in nature. How that actually going to affect the patient is actually can be shown through a VR, and then he can prepare himself well, and he can prepare mentally that how can I actually prepare myself better when it develops, and how should I prevent myself by not doing some things. And that is the kind of the examples are also available on VR. These are all the reality. It's running, and you can search a lot of virtual realities are happening, but most commonly it is used for device trainings and education purposes, not for patient care. I think it is not so far that many hospitals will start adopting this. Okay, so there is no video to show in that. The next one is I want to talk about medical, IoT in a medical terms. So we call it as IOMT. IoT is, as all of you know, it is Internet of Things. And in healthcare, it is called as IOMT, Internet of Medical Things. And it is wider. It has a wide user now, a wider usage of the sensors and then connectivity, connecting machine to machine communications. Lot of things are happening in this area, and today, because of, like I said, the edge and other computing technologies, there are in the intranet. Patient monitoring systems, connected beds are also available, ICUs, connected beds, so that doctors can actually monitor the health of a patient sitting at home and see that what's happening today with the patients who are in ICU beds, and what are the vital parameters are getting changed, and what is the whether is there any early deteriorating indicators, we call it as EDI, and or is there any early discharge indicators, that means we can discharge the patient early, or is he going to be worse. Those kind of decisions can be taken using the all these vital parameters which are connected to a network, and then it is fed into the local edge computing device, and then it is it is in the internet, and then doctors and nursing staffs or hospital staffs can access this data from a centralized location. So there are very good examples. Even I have heard in in the hospitals like Narayana Health and Manipal in Bangalore, they are trying for this type of solutions. And there is a, like you see, there is like a kind of a war room, right? You see that there kind of a big display dashboards of multiple parameters. That's also is coming up in many hospitals nowadays. And even standard solutions are available from many companies. There are startups which are doing a lot of good inventions on this side. That's also, and this also improves the automation, safety, and it gives a lot of other benefits to the hospital and to the hospital infrastructure. I have one example from ARM. This is something which is very very typical example, but may not be available in many countries. But I have seen that we have networks with many vendors, right? So this is one of the ARM is one company where they have created the smart inhalers. See, what it is basically saying is even the consumer devices can be connected to the network and can be connected to the doctors and hospital infrastructure. That's all about that's all about that video. But I just wanted to show that how technology is changing in case of the Internet of Medical Things. So next one is wearables. I think many of you are wearing smartwatches today. So it is not again something very new, but what is changing is the amount of data which brings on the cloud or on edge devices today. And as all of you know, data is new oil. That means the data is going to be the wealth creator in the future. So wearable is one of them. It brings a deep data insights, into the different parameters what it actually shares, from the human body. And it is also moving the healthcare industry from a B2B model to a B2C model. Whereas earlier, if you see any device, if I want to, for example, let us take BP apparatus. It was not very easy, it was not visible like in the market where I can buy multiple things like that, use it or very commonly. And it was mostly that, other devices like also, for example, glucometer or maybe temperatures. There are few things which we used to buy as a commodity, as a device, and we used to keep at home. But if everything comes in one device, if that device can be can be so easily wearable on a body, and we can measure all those things, then that means it is actually connecting to directly to the consumer. So consumer are now becoming playing a primary role in decision making. When industry gets a lot of data directly from the consumer, it also helps to predict that what kind of health this person will have, and what is that making a difference in demography or the lifestyle, how it is changing in the health of a person. So that is where this is helping, and it is also helping developing. A lot of companies are developing AI model, machine learning models using this data, because it's mostly unstructured and structured data, textual data we get. But still, it is a good data to develop some good, machine learning models, and we can write a few good examples to classify, like a binary classification, or we can use kind of a random forest, to predict few things from the health of a person. And few data can also be tracked via fitness. That the people are also, I think nowadays after the pandemic, many people are, checking their heart rates and oxygen level and things like that. So many things are coming up in the system. And atrial fibrillation is also coming up. It's something which will help for the cardiology patients. And if you see, Apple is doing a lot of research in this, and also you would have seen there is a small company which started in Hyderabad called HugSmart, is acquired by Titan now. That is the kind of power of startups when they create such a small companies, which is also a very good example to see that how this industry is making a difference. So Apple has announced 3 cutting edge studies in recent time, especially on women's health, heart health, and noise exposure. That's what I just wanted to make sure that it is not so far that wearables is going to be an essential commodity for everyone, and then becomes kind of a part of our life in day-to-day life. That's about the wearables, about the current trends. And the next one is telehealth. This is also like not very common, right? I don't know how many of you really had a teleconsulting with the doctor in the recent time during pandemic. Because you cannot take your seniors or kids to the hospital. You are very scared, to go to hospital and take a consultation from doctor in person. So if you see, even Practo started video consulting. So it is really going to be a new norm in healthcare industry. And telehealth was not common, a few years back. No one used to believe that it is going to work, but it is a reality today. And even the regulators and insurers have started supporting this idea. And it's especially because of the necessity and the way in which people are getting adopted to this technology. So that is also like helping telehealth to move faster in this industry. And it's a boon for densely populated nations like India. For example, we are now like patients from villages deprived from the sophistication and the specialists and surgeons what we have in cities are deprived from the services, right? So if you get this type of facility, how you can actually make a difference to patients' life, especially in primary care centers, where India has a very good network of, the healthcare system, like starting from primary healthcare from village till the at level, Jilla Panchayat level, hospitals, Saluk Panchayat, everywhere there is a network. But if you connect all those things together, and if it comes as part of this telehealth offering, then nothing like that. It is going to be a game changer in the future. And that's also more and more hospitals and doctors are adopting. And the pandemic is the real example that it pushed telehealth to the core. And whoever, like, in some cases, my friends were saying, like, grandmothers and fathers who are not, willing to see a doctor, seeing them in person is the only way to believe, has actually changed. And it is now changing the way everybody is thinking. And technologies like AI and ML chatbots are helping to expedite this adoption of telehealth. Very nice thing to see that it is changing a lot. And I have another example from John Hopkins. I will show you that also in the video. Uh, yeah. So that's another, sorry. Yeah. That's another example which I wanted to just share with you. Yeah, let me move a little faster. So the last one is additive manufacturing. So I don't know how many of you are aware of this 3D technology, 3D printing technology. It is a transformative approach in industrial production. So you know that building a medical device is a very complex. It needs a lot of accuracy, precision because it works on it. Actually, it deals with the life of a patient, right? So it has to be very very sophisticated. It has to be very qualitative, and it should be very with a very good material. So if you want to develop the prototype earlier, it used to take a lot of weeks. Sometimes, for example, a simple thing like a foot pedal, which is used to operate these scanners, used to the prototyping used to take months. If I want to change a little bit of design of that part, I really need to really go to the vendor and change the material substance and change it and try it again, and then come up with that model and say that, okay, now this is a perfect model. So that whole development cycle used to take about prototype, just a prototype. I'm not talking about the manufacturing. So it used to take about 3 months to 6 months in some cases to develop a complex components of the medical device. For example, C-arm or the patient table or compression tables, all those things. So it is another technological advancement which made possible by the transition from analog to digital processes. It is in recent decades, communications, imaging, architecture, like the way it is happening in healthcare, IT infrastructure. Similarly, it is happening in the this is helping in the manufacturing operations. So this is really pushing the manufacturing to a next level. And GE also investing a lot in this. We have recently opened a lab in Sweden about the 3D printing. I would just want to show that video, and then I think I will be completing mostly on trends, recent trends. But it may not be very relevant for you, but I'm just thinking that 3D printing, how it is making a difference in the whole health tech company. you would have seen an example that, it's not just the speed, and it also it reduces a lot of cost in production. And actually, he explained, right? 3 parts are combined in one, and one prototype made in one printing. And it works for plastic, it works for metal. So if that is the kind of the speed in which we can produce components, it actually helps the industry to adopt the go in a much faster pace. Especially for medical devices, it's always difficult to bring any product into the market. Okay. Any questions quickly for 2 minutes if there are any questions on trends? Otherwise, I want to cover up challenges. There are not many challenges I covered, and this is also not very comprehensive. Whatever is relevant for today, I just captured, and maybe I will cover up this quickly. Any questions before I move on to current challenges? Am I going in the right speed? Any feedback? Okay, so then I'll move on to current challenges. So there are a few current challenges I have captured here: data protection, connectivity and interoperability, scaling up, regulatory affairs, scarcity of experts, regulatory affairs and scarcity of experts, and response to pandemic. So let me talk about data protection. In healthcare, getting a data is like it's an immense effort. You cannot get data from a hospital and you can copy data from hospital and say that this is my data. It doesn't work. Even if you it is from your family, you cannot take a data from a hospital and say that this MRI scans data or any other hospital's data. It is not easy, especially in EU and Europe and US. It is very stringent laws. And in Europe, it has to be GDPR compliant. That is called General Data Protection and the regulation. And in US, you have to be HIPAA compliant. It's an expensive effort. If company violates this, in some cases they may have to, they are fined up to 10 million euros, or maybe 2% of their revenue or turnover of that year is fined for a company if they are violate on these compliance. So what I'm talking about is, it is not the new challenge or it is not the current challenge. But what is actually it is impacting us is, for example, if I want to do a lot of research on ML and DL, that ML DL cannot have 100 images or 5 files, 10 files. I cannot decide the accuracy of a model. You need millions of data to sometime to come up with a model and to say that this is an accurate model which will predict rightly, and it works for all demography. It needs data from different countries. It needs data from different demographies. It needs needs from different age, from different age of the person. Lot of data you need to research. It's because of this privacy and security law in different countries, it is becoming very complex for us to develop a lot of models very fast, to take it to the market. It is taking a lot of time. For example, let me take one example of a model which is built and trained in Japan. If I have to run the same model in US, it will not be accurate because the demography of people, height, weight, and their demography, the way their lifestyle will be, much different than Japan, right? So it will not work. So what is happening today is, instead of really transferring the data from Japan to bring the same model and train it in US, what they do is they actually retrain. That is called as a transfer learning. They retrain the model using the American data, and then they combine it and say that this is something which works for all. So that is called transfer learning. These are the some techniques used in ML and DL to make sure that it works for all regions and countries. And the residency loss, to solve that residency loss, companies are coming up with the concept called clinical data lake. So once this data is pushed into a data lake, data scientist can access from the different locations, and he can work without violating the laws and residency, privacy and residency laws. That's about the data protection. And even healthcare, you cannot even share the name of a patient, date of birth. It has to be anonymized. Even if I'm giving a report of one person to another, even for a research, they have to anonymize and give. If I am acquiring some data from Manipal through a research agreement, with proper research agreement, with all legal compliance, also if I purchase the data, I will not get patient's date of birth, patient's name. It all anonymized. I get only the anonymized data, and then I use it for my research. That's how the data protection laws are preventing from the liberty. But it's really in good way. It has to be like that. But it is actually slowing down the research and And even cyber security is even playing now even much bigger role because of this stringent laws. If someone hacks the hospital network and steals the data, hospital has to, in US and all, hospital needs to be, they may impose a ban on the hospital. So that is the kind of stringent laws are there. Now I will move on to the connectivity and interoperability. Connectivity and interoperability are two different topics. When it comes to medical device, I will just cover interoperability first because it is more complex than the connectivity. Connectivity is a common connectivity of devices, which you all know. Interoperability is, for example, I acquired data from the Philips MR, and then I want to use the another console to view the data. Let me use another console from Siemens console, and I take this data and I want to view that data on a Siemens console. So it is not so easy, because if they don't follow standards, it is mandated that they have to use standards. But if they don't use, if you don't use the standards like DICOM, FHIR, and then through storage solutions like PAX, if it is not stored in a standard format. So what happens is it becomes a lot of it takes a lot of time for you to really test on different modalities. Why I am telling is, if you are coming up with some solution on an algorithm what you are writing, if that has to if you are an independent third-party company and you don't want to work with Philips or GE or Siemens or any other industry people, but you want to offer a solution to a hospital, finally it has to work with these companies, right? Company devices or modalities. So if you have to really come up with it, you have to be really compliant on all these things. And in spite of that, they don't share everything. The service data is not shared. It is not easy to actually connect and play with those data. So interoperability is also a prime, big challenge for all these researchers, and the entry of variables. You know that, right? Every company will have a different data standards, different data formats. And maybe you would have seen there are many companies are coming up nowadays on variables. So how you actually make a standards out of this? There are, industry has imposed some standards, but I'm telling you how it is making our life difficult to, talk to one system to another system, or from one format to another format. And connectivity is also another issue. And 5G and other things will help a lot, in the future for telehealth and all. You need to have infrastructure. I think you would have seen even in India, a lot of the cities are now having optic fiber connections. So I don't think it is going to be a long-term problem, but this is the current problems we are facing even for our research. And other two topics are here, scaling up and regulatory affairs. So let me talk about scaling up. Scaling up is, it is not easy to scale up in healthcare. If you say that I'll start a startup on healthcare and I want to become 100 million company in 2 months, then you have to have a really good software solution which works for all, and it is very difficult to build such a solution. And also regulatory compliances and getting approvals from different countries, because market entry is not so easy. You need to get approval. If you want to enter into Europe, you need to get a CE marking. If you want to enter into China, you want to get an NMPA registration. You have to, if you want to go to Japan, everywhere there are many different the compliances you need to follow. That is why it is difficult. And also installation of medical devices are not so easy like any other devices. Because it's a place with the patient, right? It has to be validated. Bringing one device to a market takes sometime 18 to 24 months of validation. Testing and verification is a different story. Validation, and when I mean it has to be tested and verified with the, like you would have seen now, the third stage trial of pharmaceutical companies for the vaccine, first stage, second stage, third stage, and they say, right? So it is all validation. It takes a lot of time for validation, even for any other medical device. So that is why scaling up is a challenge. And I think I covered a lot on regulatory affairs, but I will again a little bit touch upon the recent issues what we are facing. See, we would have got a 510K approval recently for one of the model which I showed you, image reconstruction algorithm. But even regulatory affairs do not know how to really approve this device. Can this work for a patient? Can the efficiency is good enough? Can the testing is good enough to give a certification? They are really struggling to do that because they are also learning these technologies, and they don't have a predicate device, where we call it as a predicate device means that is something which is a similar system is available in the market and it is already proven. My technology is just an addendum on top of it. So in that case, it is easy to get approvals. But in this case, you don't have any other examples to code, for example, for AI and ML. So you will really face a lot of problems to get these approvals. But the things are moving much faster. I have seen even regulatory efforts have changed their norms and their compliance rules for AI and other ML models and FDA. And one problem still you will face is if you get an FDA approval from US, it is not suffice to enter into a China market. You will have to get into Chinese NMPA registration. Good. The last two things which I'm going to cover, and I will leave it to you for maybe 5 minutes afterwards or 3 minutes for the discussion. The scarcity of experts. This is very common. All of you know that radiologists, doctors are not so available easily. When I mean, I came up with an algorithm. For example, you created one startup, and that model has to be validated by a radiologist. Even if it is an X-ray model I mentioned, right? Anomaly detection of an X-ray. Even if your model detects 100%, it has to be signed and verified by a radiologist, and he should say, I'm actually happy with this model. This works as per my, the way I curate the data, the way I really find the anomalies. So that is how it goes. And but they are still stretched for a lot of primary care needs and other things. So then we are not getting real lot of time from research experts, radiologists and doctors to move faster in the research and technology adoption. But the trend is changing. A lot of people are opting for this radiology and doctors and becoming a lot of we get a lot of doctors even in other developing nations. Things will maybe will look different in few years, but today we really see a problem. You would have seen in the last topic which I'm going to cover is pandemic. The COVID-19 is one pandemic. Even in the past, when we really read these reports, when we do some research on the topic, pandemic always created a problem for healthcare. You may be thinking that GE is making a lot of money because of this, because healthcare industries are the time which they really milk money out of this type of situations. No, we also face a lot of problem because of this. See, what happens is, if you ask me, the important device in last few months, in last 6 months across the globe was not MR, not CT, not IGT, not robotic surgery. It is ventilators. So ventilators will not give a lot of money for me. If you see, ventilators are not like even the car production manufacturers like Ford. In that facility, we created ventilators to scale up. So that is the kind of the problem we face when there is a pandemic. We will also have to shift our focus of the whether it is innovation or whether it is a strategy. We'll have to shift it to adapt to this current situation. We are also in that situation. We are facing a lot of the crisis in the innovation. That's why remote health I mentioned, right? If I want to service MR, it is my big revenue part where I have to really now do a lot of things remotely. I cannot go visit and do kind of services of these devices. But it is improving because of the technology. A lot of us used to, I think, never thought that we'll work from home, but it actually technology enabled that we could work, and that's how the pandemic is also creating a problem for us. Whereas it opened up a lot of other avenues. There is a future. Healthtech is the evergreen field and evergreen industry. In that sense, I just want to say that I'm not scaring you. Any of you want to start any of your healthtech company in the future. It is the right investment if you want to make it. It is the right place. With that, I want to end the webinar. And sorry, maybe I would have gone fast. I don't know whether you are able to follow me. And thank you for all your time. So that's all I wanted to cover today. It is not comprehensive. There are multiple challenges outside this, but we can spend a few minutes if there are any questions. Otherwise, I'm done with the webinar. Thank you. Any questions? We have 2 minutes.
If anybody has a question, you can ask.
So my name is Tejas. So I just want to know the difference between the virtual reality and the augmented reality.
Yeah, I think it is always, see, augmented reality is like, for example, it is, for example, you have MR, the training I mentioned, right? If you do that with the robotics, you are augmenting a person, right? Your robot is training you. Whereas here your virtual is you are actually giving a video of it and you are guiding it, and that is virtual, right? It is not really you are creating another system for the training. So that is in simple words I'm telling. So industry is getting confused because it is not the same, but at the same time the end outcome is the same. The purpose what you are solving is the same. Am I making sense?
So it means like it is not the control what we have with robotics or something else.
Yeah, we will still have a control, but I'm saying you are really augmenting the person or the service. Where here in this case, it is not really augmenting. It is a virtual. It is like you are seeing the in a video or in kind of where you really it will take you, right? If you would have seen in malls and all, there is a there is some playstations, right, where you wear glasses and really you feel that you're jumping into a water and all. So that is the virtual reality.
Okay, the 9D or 10D.
Yeah, 9D, 10D. Yes. Yeah, that's what that's the. If you see that one kid was wearing some glasses, right, in the photo which I showed you. Yes.
So let's say, for an example, if we're going to a mall or something, and if we see the augmented reality coming up through the visual reality, so will that belongs to virtual or?
It is virtual, but if you, for example, when you go to a mall and some lady is coming and telling you that this is the direction you should see, and that is now done by, for example, by a robot, and it comes and serves you, helps you to do all those good things, and it is really replaced a person, right? It is augmenting the work. You have actually outsourced the entire work to some person.
Okay. Sure, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes. Anything else, guys? Any other question? Otherwise, thank you for all your time. Thank you very much. If you have any feedback, you can give me. This is a complex topic, not a topic, and not so easy to cover up because health tech is always complex. Good. Thank you all.
Yeah. Thank you. Session was very informative. Yes.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful session.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for giving me an opportunity. Thanks to the management and organizing committee. Thanks for all the students. And I wish you all the best for your future. Be entrepreneurs. That's all I can tell in one sentence. Don't be employees. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you for a very good session, sir. Thank you, Shiv.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I thank Mr. Shivakumar Hosangadi for sharing his knowledge with us. Thanks a lot, sir, for the informative session. And I thank Dr. Krishna Prasad K for his support and guidance. I thank Dr. P.S. Aitar, Vice Chancellor, Srinivas University, and Professor P. Sridharacharya, Dean CCIS, Faculty Advisor, for permitting us to organize this webinar. I thank all the members of Executive and Operation Committees for their cooperation. Thank you, friends. A program of this kind will not be effective without enthusiastic participants. I thank all the participants for their active involvement. Thanking everyone who is responsible for the smooth functioning of this webinar, I conclude. Thanks a lot. With this, we have come to the end of the session. Participants, do not forget to submit the feedback form. You will receive the certificate soon after the submission of the feedback form. Thanks a lot for giving me a chance. Thank you, one and all.